I had always been a skeptic, never believing in ghost stories or the supernatural. But my recent trip to Newfoundland changed everything. It all began when I overheard a conversation at a local bar. The fishermen were discussing the Titanic and the tragic accident that took place off the coast of Newfoundland. They spoke of ghost ships and spirits that still roamed the waters, waiting for rescue. I dismissed it as mere folklore, but the intensity in their eyes told a different story. One evening, I decided to rent a small boat and explore the waters myself. The sea was calm, and the fog hung low, creating an eerie atmosphere. As I sailed further from the shore, I noticed something floating in the water. It was a suitcase, old and battered, but what caught my attention was the gold-plated watch entangled with it. Curiosity got the better of me, and I pulled the suitcase aboard. As I opened it, a cold gust of wind blew, extinguishing the lantern. The contents of the suitcase were astonishing. A bronze statue, a record player, a gilded photo frame, and other valuable items. But the most unsettling was a photograph of a group of passengers, their eyes hollow and faces pale. Suddenly, I heard whispers all around me.
Why did you take it? Return what's not yours.
The voices grew louder and more menacing. Panic set in, and I tried to throw the suitcase back into the water, but it felt as if an invisible force was holding it in place. I looked around, trying to find the source of the voices, and then I saw them. Figures floating in the water, their eyes fixated on me. They were the spirits of the Titanic passengers, and wanted their belongings back. In a desperate attempt to appease them, I managed to open the suitcase and throw the items into the water. The figures slowly faded away, but the whispers remained, echoing in my ears. I sailed back to the shore as fast as I could, vowing never to return to those haunted waters. The experience left a lasting impression on me, and I realized that some stories might just be true, no matter how unbelievable. I had always been a seeker of the unknown, a researcher of forgotten myths and legends. My recent expedition led me to the ancient town of Harran, a place untouched by modern beliefs and cultures. But what I didn't expect was to stumble upon a legend that would change my life forever. The town was near the border with Syria, and due to the ongoing conflict, it had been evacuated. I found myself in a village surrounded by wooden houses and stone structures, most of which were abandoned. The villagers were kind, offering shelter and food to the refugees. But amidst the hospitality, there was an underlying fear, a name that sent shivers down their spines: Aegis Khanim. Curiosity piqued, and I delved deeper. Aegis Khanim, translated as the Nameless Lady, was a deity from ancient Turkish folklore. Unlike other gods with tales of bravery and might, Aegis Khanim was mysterious. All that was known was that she belonged to the family of evil gods. One evening, an older man shared a chilling tale. Aegis Khanim was once a pagan god who migrated from another nation. The locals, fearing her unfamiliar customs, labeled her a devil worshipper and executed her followers. Since then, a shadowy figure resembling a woman has haunted the area, seeking revenge. The legend warned that if one encountered Aegis Khanim, they should pretend to be asleep, for she was a shadow that thrived in the dark, absorbing other shadows to grow stronger. If you kept the lights on, it would only draw her closer. Skeptical yet intrigued, I decided to investigate further. Armed with a camera, I entered an isolated wooden house one night. As I set up my equipment, I felt an eerie presence. Hours passed, and fatigue took over. I drifted into sleep, leaving the camera running. A sudden crash jolted me awake. The camera's light had dimmed, and the room was enveloped in an unnatural darkness. Reviewing the footage, I saw a shadow lurking outside the window when I entered. As the light weakened, the shadow grew larger, pulsating and breathing heavily. Realization dawned. Ajaz Khanim was real, and she was here. The room grew colder, and I could feel her presence closing in. The legends were true. She was a shadow that fed on other shadows. The dimming light of the camera was her invitation. In a desperate attempt, I turned off all lights, plunging the room into complete darkness. Silence. Minutes felt like hours, and then a soft whisper echoed.
"You are not one of them."
Dawn broke, and the first rays of sunlight pierced through the windows. The shadow was gone, but the terror of that night remained etched in my memory. I left Harren with more questions than answers. But one thing was clear. Some legends are better left undiscovered. Every evening, after a grueling day at work, I would rush to the Paris metro station, Europe's second busiest after Moscow's. The crowd was always unbearable, with everyone jostling and pushing to get ahead. But one evening, things took a turn for the eerie. As I hurriedly made my way down to the platform, I bumped into an older man carrying a bag of food. The collision caused him to drop his belongings, and in their usual haste, the crowd trampled over his loaf of bread. The old man, with a nervous expression, clutched his bag and muttered,
It's dangerous, this squeezing and pushing. Accidents happen.
Ignoring his warning, I continued my way, eager to get home. The escalator leading down to the subway tunnel was particularly crowded that day. I managed to squeeze in, standing sideways to fit, my hand gripping the escalator's handrail. Beside me, on the adjacent escalator, stood a woman. She looked out of place, wearing a tattered coat reminiscent of the homeless who frequented the area. Her long, wet hair hung in front of her face, and she mumbled incoherently. Our positions made it seem like we were face to face, and though I was repulsed, there was no space to move away. Her cold hand suddenly gripped mine on the handrail, and she flashed a grotesque smile. Panic surged through me when I realized something even more terrifying. Her escalator was moving upwards, while mine descended. How was she moving in the same direction as me? The woman's mouth began to widen, revealing wristed, iron-like teeth. It seemed she could swallow my entire head. I screamed, pushing people in front of me, trying to escape her grasp. Chaos ensued. Suddenly, a sharp pain shot through my arm. My hand, still gripping the handrail, was being dragged down, pulling me with it. The hem of my pants and shoes got caught in the escalator steps. As I struggled, the woman lunged, her mouth open wide. The next thing I remember was waking up in a hospital bed. The staff at the metro station had managed to free me, but not without injuries. My arm was heavily bandaged, and the trauma of the event left me with nightmares. I later learned that there had been several accidents at that metro station, with victims reporting seeing a mysterious woman right before their mishaps. Some believed she was the vengeful spirit of a homeless woman who had met a tragic end at the station. I never took the metro again, choosing to walk or cycle instead. The haunting image of the woman and her chilling smile still haunts my dreams, serving as a constant reminder of the dangers lurking in the most unexpected places.